Welcome to the College Football Bros. I am Michael Newman, and I have a wild conference realignment scenario to go through here. And this was not my idea. This came from the college football subreddit from the user PocketPillow. I have linked that post in the description below, so be sure to check that out. But let me do my best to summarize it here and just kind of give my take. So we'll start out just by examining the current landscape here. So the Big Ten and the SEC schools are obviously very happy and safe. You know, the Big Ten could add schools like Oregon and Washington at some point down the road, but they seem to be good for now. You could say the same thing about the SEC with Florida State, Clemson, who knows? But again, that is likely down the road. So they're set. They've got good TV money, all good. The Big 12, while of course way behind those conferences, has a fine enough new TV deal, and they're feeling stable, but they would, of course, be open to expansion, and their commissioner, Brett Yormark, has said as much. Now, the ACC, at least the strongest schools there, are very unhappy with the long-term TV deal they're stuck with. They are making way less money than the Big Ten and the SEC, and so schools like Miami, Florida State, Clemson, on down the line, would love an opportunity to somehow get out of that deal, if possible, you would think. And it's been speculated that if at least 8 schools in the ACC agreed, they could dissolve the conference and get out of the grant of rights. So as for the Pac-12, it is, negotiating a media rights deal as we speak, but speculation is that it might not be for nearly as much money as Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff had initially thought. So Pac-12 schools are kind of in a waiting game right now, seeing what these numbers will be. And you would think that if they're not great, there's the potential that some of them could jump ship. So with that landscape in mind, here's a potential way that this could all play out that would make everyone, well, at least most schools, at least reasonably happy. So step one here would be Arizona and Arizona State being the first movers going to the Big 12. So Arizona, of course, excellent basketball program. Arizona State, right outside the big Phoenix market. So they would be attractive to the Big 12, and it would add a new time zone for the conference, which of course could help it make more money by filling that late night inventory. So Big 12 would be set here. They'd have 14 teams. It'd strengthen the conference a little bit, even more so than they are now. And then later in this plan, you'll see that maybe they even add a couple more schools. So that's step one. Arizona and ASU are kind of the keys here. And then that leads to the possibility of step two. And this is where kind of everything is happening. So there would be now 8 teams left in the Pac-12 after Arizona and ASU leave. So they would love to add 8 quality programs if they could and get to 16. Well, that's exactly the number of schools that the ACC potentially needs to vote to dissolve the conference. So step 2 is the Pac-12 invites Clemson, Duke, North Carolina, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami, Virginia, and Virginia Tech to join a brand new Pacific Atlantic Conference. And let's assume those ACC teams can actually together, go through with this, dissolve the ACC, get out of the grant of rights. Well, then boom, we've got a 16-team conference with 8 schools in the East Division and 8 schools in the West, and they would theoretically be free to sign a new big TV deal. And they can have it end around the time the SEC and Big Ten TV deals end, so that schools like Washington and Oregon could still potentially join the Big Ten at a later date, and schools like Clemson, Florida State down the road could join the SEC if they don't want to get left out of that. Maybe the future is 2 super conferences. So here we are. We've got this new giant 16-team conference. The next obvious concern is there's 8 schools on either coast. How are you going to work out scheduling? Well, the Reddit user PocketPillow's suggestion is a 9-game conference schedule, so 7 amongst your division, so the West and the East, and then 2 cross-division between the 2. So you'd only have 1 away game on the opposite coast every year. So that seems doable. So who are the biggest losers in this? Well, you've got those 6 ACC schools that got left out of this deal: NC State, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Boston College, Pitt, and Louisville. But the Big 12 is still sitting at 14 in this scenario. The Big 10's all theoretically full at 16. SEC has 16. The new Pacific Atlantic Conference has 16. Well, 2 slots left in the Big 12. So maybe it's, you know, Louisville and NC State join the Big 12, and then there's only 4 schools left out. Sorry to those schools, but that's the plan. So here we are. This is where we would be at. We would have 4 16-team super conferences: the Big 12, the SEC, the new PAC, Pacific Atlantic Conference, and the Big 12. And this fits perfectly with the new 12-team playoff format, which gives byes to the top 4 conference champions. Presumably it would be these 4. And there's still plenty of at-larges to go around, and of course still possibly 2 more conference champion slots for the non-Power 4 conferences, as it would be in this scenario. So I'm sure there are a million holes that you could poke in this, but let's have it out in the comments below. What do you think about this plan? Would you be in favor of it? Who says no? And just, is it impractical? Is there some huge glaring weakness in the logic of this plan? So again, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow the podcast and our YouTube channel, so would appreciate your support. Give the video a thumbs up, and we will see you next time.